I walked in and found my wife with her steroid trainer on my couch. The front door was unlocked. That was the first thing that felt wrong. My wife never left the door unlocked. Not when she went to the gym. Not when she went grocery shopping. Not even when she stepped outside to check the mail. But that afternoon, the door opened with a soft push, and the house was quiet. Too quiet. I stepped inside slowly, keys still in my hand. Then I heard it. A laugh. Low, male, followed by another sound. My wife's voice. Soft, breathy, the kind of voice she hadn't used with me in years. My chest tightened. I didn't rush. Rushing is emotional, and emotions make people sloppy. I walked down the hallway slowly, each step measured. Another laugh echoed from the living room. Then the couch creaked. I stopped just before the corner. For a second, I told myself it was nothing. Maybe her sister had stopped by. Maybe the TV was on. Maybe... Then he spoke. Relax, babe. Your husband's at work. A pause. Then my wife giggled. My stomach went cold. I stepped forward and turned the corner. Time did something strange in that moment. It didn't stop. It stretched. My wife was on the couch, half naked. Her legs wrapped around a mountain of muscle I instantly recognized. Her personal trainer, the steroid poster boy from her gym, his hands on her waist, her fingers tangled in his hair. Their eyes met mine. The room went silent. For a long time, no one moved. Then he smirked. Damn, he muttered. And my wife, she turned pale. I didn't yell. I didn't throw anything. I didn't move. I just stood there, watching, observing. People think betrayal feels like an explosion, like rage, like chaos, but it doesn't. Not at first. At first, it feels like silence. My wife slowly pushed herself off him. Her hands trembled as she grabbed a blanket. Mark, I can explain. Of course she could. They always can. The trainer stood up calmly. He was massive, veins crawling over his arms like snakes, probably pumped full of enough steroids to sedate a horse. But he wasn't worried. Why would he be? In his mind, I was just the husband, the weak guy, the provider, the one who worked late while he trained my wife. He pulled on his shorts slowly, then looked at me. Man, this ain't what it looks like. I almost smiled, because it was exactly what it looked like. My wife started crying, real tears, or good acting. Hard to tell the difference these days. Please don't do this, she whispered. Don't do what? I hadn't said a word. And that's when I realized something. They were scared of a reaction. Anger, violence, a screaming husband. But silence. Silence terrifies guilty people. So I stayed silent. I walked into the kitchen, opened a drawer, and grabbed something. When I walked back into the living room, both of them froze. Because in my hand was a taser. I didn't point it at his chest. I didn't aim for his neck. No, I aimed lower. Much lower. The trainer blinked. Whoa, man. I pulled the trigger. The sound cracked through the room. Electricity snapped through the air, and he dropped. Not gracefully, not heroically. He collapsed like a building losing its foundation, screaming, writhing, hands grabbing himself. My wife screamed. What did you do? I watched him roll across my living room floor, foam forming at the corner of his mouth. My heart beat slowly, strangely calm. Because here's the thing. I didn't buy that taser today. I bought it 3 months ago. 3 months of suspicion. 3 months of noticing small things. Late gym sessions. Extra makeup before workouts. Text messages she smiled at. Then quickly hid. 3 months ago, I started watching, listening, collecting, phone records, gym schedules, parking lot cameras. I even hired a private investigator. The evidence piled up quietly, like bricks building a wall. And today, I had left work early, not to catch them. No, I already knew. I came home to confirm. The trainer stopped screaming eventually. His body twitched, then went still. My wife knelt beside him, crying hysterically. Oh my God. Call an ambulance! I leaned against the wall, watching, counting the seconds. Finally, I picked up my phone and dialed. The ambulance took 11 minutes, long enough for panic to eat her alive. My wife kept shaking him, slapping his face, begging him to wake up, but he didn't move. Paramedics rushed inside, pushed her aside, started working, chest compressions, oxygen, shouting medical terms. I watched from the hallway. One of them finally stood up and shook his head. Dead. Heart failure, likely triggered by the shock. My wife collapsed to her knees, sobbing. But the story didn't end there, because the police arrived next. Questions, statements. One officer looked at me. You used a taser? Yes. Why? I handed him a folder. Every photo, every message, every recorded conversation, every piece of evidence showing the affair. Weeks, months, proof. My wife's sobbing slowed. She stared at the folder, then at me, her face drained of color. You knew? I nodded slowly. For months. The officer flipped through the pages. His eyebrows lifted. This is thorough. Yes. Yes, it was. Because this wasn't rage. This was preparation. Later that night, the house was empty. Police gone. Paramedics gone. Her lover gone forever. My wife sat on the floor, still shaking. Her mascara streaked across her face. She looked smaller now. Fragile. Broken. Why didn't you stop me? She whispered. I sat across from her. Calm. Stop you? Her voice cracked. You knew about him. Why didn't you confront me? Because confrontation gives liars time to lie. I leaned forward slightly. I wanted the truth to reveal itself. Her eyes filled with tears again. But you killed him. I shook my head slowly. No. I pointed toward the front door. Steroids did. Then toward the couch. And bad decisions. Her breathing became uneven. Mark, please. That word again. Please. Funny how it appears only after betrayal is exposed. I stood up, walked to the coffee table, and placed another document in front of her. Divorce papers. Already signed. Already filed. Her hands trembled as she read them. You planned everything. I didn't answer. Because the answer was obvious. 3 weeks later, I stood outside the courthouse. The air felt lighter. Cleaner. My phone buzzed once. A message from an unknown number. Her. I never meant for this to happen. I stared at the screen. People love saying that. As if betrayal is an accident. As if lies just appear. I deleted the message. And kept walking. Somewhere behind me, a life I once believed in had collapsed. But strangely, I didn't feel anger anymore. Just clarity. Because the truth about betrayal is simple. It doesn't destroy you. It reveals you. And when the mask finally falls, you see everyone exactly as they are. I lost a wife. She lost everything. And the man she risked it all for never even made it to the hospital. Life has a strange sense of balance. I stepped into my car, started the engine, and drove away without looking back. Because the moment she chose him, she stopped being my problem. Forever.